Good, beautiful morning to you, and welcome to Kingdom Moments. I am your host, Pastor Gerald Kirby of Lighthouse Church in Pensacola, Florida. Kingdom Moments exists to share the whole gospel of God with our family, capital I, capital L, capital Y. Today's focus, God reveals a hidden message. Haggai and Zechariah, as we have said previously, prophesied at the same time to the same group of people. Now, our instinct is to read the book of Zechariah and then read the book of Haggai, or backwards. Let's read the book of Haggai, which comes first, and then the book of Zechariah. But we saw yesterday and previous days that God gave us dates when he gave these messages to his servants. And what we find is no less incredible. I am going to list the seven different messages that Haggai and Zechariah preached. Then I'm going to list their dates in order. Okay, ready? Now, if you're only on the listening to the audio portion, I've listed them in the blog so you can read along. Number one, Haggai 1:1. That's the very first time that God speaks. He does so through Haggai in the 6th month, the first day, 520 BC. The second message comes through Haggai. It's found in Haggai chapter 2, verse 1. But it comes on the 7th month, the 24th day, same year, 520 BC. In other words, the very next month. The next message comes from Zechariah, Zechariah 1:1. It comes on the 8th month, but there's no day given. 520 BC, so the very next month. The next messages comes from Haggai chapter 2, verses 10 and then verse 20, right? Two different messages, but watch. They are both given on the 9th month, the 24th day, that same year, 520 BC. Now, the 6th message comes from Zechariah. It's found in Zechariah chapter 1, verse 7, and it comes at the 11th month of the 24th day, same year, 520 BC. Now, the final prophecy between the two prophets comes from Zechariah chapter 7, verse 1, and it is completely removed from the other six. Okay? Now, this message found in Zechariah chapter 7, verse 1 comes on the 9th month, the 4th day, but 2 years later in 518 BC. Now, there's a few things that stick out right off the bat. One of them is the months that God spoke. Just take a look at them. What do you see? Notice they are all after the first half of the year. Now, this is significant to the timing of when God spoke. The months he spoke were toward the end of the year, speaking from the Hebrew calendar. But what was God telling us when he revealed these messages to his prophets back then? Well, God was saying to them, ready? You are at the end of your exile. It's time to come home. God was telling the Israelites that the time of their exile was over, and they would be able to come back to Jerusalem, their homeland, very soon. And sure enough, that's exactly what happened. But there's a message for today. God is telling us, you are at the end of your exile on earth, and it's time to come home. See, we too are at the end of the age. We too are in a sort of exile on this earth. As a matter of fact, in 1 Peter chapter 2, verse 11, God calls us foreigners and strangers while we're here. We too are right at the end. So you may not know this, but the celestial sign of Revelation 12, verse 1 appears in the sky on September 23rd, 2017, during the Feast of Tabernacles, by the way, which just so happened to be on the same year that marked the 70th year of Israel's freedom when they returned to their home and became a nation again in 1947, 1948. We don't have much time left. But God spoke through those prophets anyway, because he knew his people were facing opposition as are we. And he knew in order to finish, they would need a fresh word from him. You and I are living a spiritual replica of our forefathers. If you don't believe me, just come back Monday, Lord willing, and we'll talk about a number that kept showing up in those dates and everything that I gave you that God used and what that number means. I'll give you a hint, though. Royal priesthood. Thank you so much for your time and your attention this morning today. I pray that you have a wonderful day in the Lord. I pray that he speaks to you and that his presence just fills your life in a brand new and exciting way. I love you, family, and until next time, take care.